Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I hope everyone's well. It's a great pleasure this particular week because we have an amazing guest this week, someone that I had the opportunity to get to study from and now actually get to chat with. She is the one and only Jil Valenti. All right, allow me to do a quick introduction. Okay, I'm not going to do you justice on the introduction, but if I were to have the opportunity, I would not want to introduce you because I would not do justice. So how about I pass the question to you and I'll let you introduce yourself in the most elegant way that mummies and daddies would love to hear with. Is that okay, Jill?
That's fine, Webster. No pressure at all. um, what I want everyone out there, parents and families, to know is that I'm a parenting coach and educator, and I have been leading parenting workshops and parent support groups and helping parents and families for over a decade. I have an international private coaching practice, and I've worked with 3-year-olds up to young adult children who are estranged from their parents. And my mission is to help families and parents do a better job of taking care of those they care about.
That's right. That's right. And for most of the viewers and for some people that are like first time watching the show, allow me to just give a quick introduction. Now, the particular show, the reason why we do this recordings is because so many of times parents find resources to help their kids. And when I mean help their kids, it's something that the kids can utilize straight away. Getting tutors, getting teachers, getting materials for their kids. But so little resources and help and support goes to the mummies and daddies themselves. From the day the child was born, everything has been focused for the kids and very little for the mummies and daddies. And that's the reason why we're doing this recording right here. We're doing all this work to effort to hopefully get to support and give some extra gems for mummies and daddies out there. Because every little thing counts. Because I truly believe that if mummies and daddies are well taken care of, their children will be well taken care of as well. Would you agree, Jill?
100%. You know that old expression, if mama ain't happy, nobody in the family's happy. And during these times with the coronavirus pandemic, talk about every little thing. Sometimes the smallest tweaks, the smallest changes for parents in how they communicate and how they model behavior and how they problem solve can make big differences for our families who are, staying safe at home. But there's a situation now where moms and dads are spending hours together and trying to figure out what's my territory when I'm Zooming with, work and your work. Where in the house are we doing this? Where are the kids online? Suddenly they're unintentionally having to homeschool their kids. It's just a lot piling up on their shoulders right now.
That's so true. And the what makes it worse is even without the pandemic currently forcing everyone to stay at home, parents had a lot on their hands already. There's a lot to work with. Having work to manage, having the relationship with their spouse to manage, having to be able to take care of their children to manage. All those things are just a lot to bear. And now with the additional COVID-19, it's not helping. And that's it's definitely a lot stressful. I've been getting a lot of messages, a lot of private messages asking what could they do, what is something that they can do to kind of like reduce the issue, because some of them even ask is like, would you like to have my child? I'll donate them to you. They're just going towards their ends with. So in a way, I hope that what we can share today, right, we'll be focusing on a few tips that maybe mummies and daddies out there can experiment and test it out, even if they have young kids, young children, or even young teenagers, because they are different. No one child is the same. And the important thing is, right, I noticed this particular pattern. It doesn't matter whether you're spending 100% of the time at home with them, or even if you only have 10 seconds with them or 10 minutes with them. If you have some fundamentals done properly, if you have a relationship set up properly, things go smoother. Because I know of certain families that even though they might have all the resources, all the money in the world, but because of lacking of a few things, it's not cool. But I also notice of certain families that they may not be the richest people on the block. They may not have everything on earth, but because they understand some fundamentals, especially from the parents with the children, they are able to work together. Of course, I'm not saying that they're perfect. I don't think that, no one's perfect. But the beautiful thing is, right, they find a,
No.
they find a way to gel together. They find a way to not get in each other's way, but actually support each other, especially in times like this. And I hope we can discuss about that. What do you think is that magic sauce or that pattern that helps families really get and bond together?
I'm so glad you asked this question. I believe that there is real power in being able to listen respectfully to one another. And that is for kids and parents alike, so that they can actually hear what are your needs, not necessarily all your wants, but what are your needs currently, and how can we go about getting you what you need so that you, for the kids, maybe don't have to act out, but it's equally true for the parents so that you don't have to act out right now. Being mutually respectful and communicating with one another can build up trust. If it feels safe to communicate assertively, then kids can really step up to, even 3-year-olds up to young adults and teenagers and everything in between. They can step up and be ever more responsible because they feel safe to communicate about, hey, Mom, I really can't do online school all day, for example. Let's say your 7-year-old son tells you, and then jump right into some, online homework. I need a break. I need to really let off some energy. Let's say you've got a kid that's a force of nature and is always, just more energy than you know what to do with. Then set up, with that blue painter's tape or masking tape, set up an outrageous obstacle course using that tape throughout the house for them to get through, stack up pillows, turn chairs over, give them a way to expend that energy because they're telling you what they need to then be able to go and sit in front of a computer and do their homework. Right?
That's so powerful because you actually hit something on the nail, because telling the children or to try to communicate, telling what they need, not just what they want. Telling what they want is something like, Mommy, I want this, Mommy, I want that. But telling them what they need is sometimes not verbal. Sometimes it's not by simple conversations like, Mommy, I have a lot of energy, I need to burn it out. Theirs will be so fundamental. They'll be like, Mom, I don't want to do my homework. Mom, I'm tired of watching the classes. I need something else. Or that's how they would say it. And in a very interesting way, it's really of how well you listen. I think that's something that's very powerful. And I think a lot of people, it doesn't matter how professional they are, the ability to listen is very, very powerful if they use it properly. And sometimes it's so easy to just miss some points because they are listening to just the words. They don't listen to the context.
Right. And to take that example a little further with what you've said, there's a really powerful thing you can do, which is to be curious. So when they say I can't do my homework, you really want to discover whether it's they can't or they won't do it.
Good point.
And if they can't, our younger children, our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, they need to be supported. They have no idea that they're running so much energy they can't focus. So that's where you have to be curious and ask questions. Well, what are you feeling like right now? Some of the things that I say is, do you have 1,000 butterflies flying around in your stomach? Does it feel like electricity's going up and down your arms? Can you want to look everywhere at once and you just have had enough? You prompt them to take a look inside, because one of the great skills that we can explore while we have this unique opportunity to spend more time with our children is to help them discover how to have insights about themselves and what they need.
Yes.
I think when you have that, your job as a parent, this really rolls back into how to make parents' lives easier.
Yes.
When you can be curious and when you can ask the 3 magic questions once they get started telling you, tell me more. Those are three magic words.
Wow.
This gets your children, and then you have to put duct tape over your mouth and be willing to really listen. And this helps them do some of the heavy lifting and being responsible for kind of looking inside as to, well, what is so for me? What is going on? But you need to help them become more able to have those insights about themselves.
Wow.
And then you can loop back around to setting it up so that their needs get met, which it's worth investing in right now because it will give you dividends in the future that just keep going on and on and on. Because the more that your children can say what it is they need and maybe come up with an agreement with you, that if they can blow off all this energy for a half hour, then they can turn to their homework. And if it's truly successful, and you haven't been as a parent, we're all striving for control right now as parents. And control has a lot of different faces. You know, it's not just that image that we often have or that label we get of control with a stern father saying it's my way or else. Control can even look like a mom who is insisting on, okay, we have all this time together. Now we get to be best friends. Your children are not prepared for that kind of control either. To be constantly, you know, feeling pressure to suddenly, I need to be mom's best friend and we have to bake together all afternoon or do this or that. That's another face of control. So we as parents are grasping for that control. So if we can get our attention back on our kids and what their needs are, as well as turn inward to ourselves and find out what we need right now. Like, I need a hot bath and an hour alone, right? It will recharge my batteries. Parents need to be able to start to share in simple, effective, and appropriate ways about their needs that they have. Because our children, they are resilient, they are bright, they actually have been tracking us for years. Their survival depends on it. They know when we're in a mood. And they can appreciate that we need to get our needs met.
Correct.
Yeah?
Actually, in a big way, it's so interesting because when you talk about that, you're talking about the purpose of doing what you do, especially as parents. Parents usually, when life kicks in, rather than doing what is important for now and the future, they kind of just respond. They just react to the thing that's happening right now. And when they react, usually it's like, what's the best thing for now? It has no benefits for the future, but it's all about now. And that control and the language and the way they respond all reacts to that. And I'm a big believer of this. In education, if there's an educator out there, the educator's objective is nothing to do with the test today. It's more of what this test gives this person when they are an adult. I'm a big believer that every mommy and daddy out there, the true purpose of why they're putting so much love for their children to guide them and educate them, it's not for today. It's for the day that mommy and daddy is no longer alive, when he's no longer there. No one there is to protect them but for the child itself. And in a big way, we have a choice. We can either choose to prepare them for tomorrow, or we can choose to control them to be good to us today. And that's a very big distinction, because a lot of times it's like if we forget about that, we tend to have the habit of just going and do what is convenient for us right now. And we tend to control in a different way. We have to talk in a different way. We expect different things. And you're straight away going into is like, number one, let's talk about the needs of not just about the child, but also yourself. It's so important. And because if you're not in the right state, if you're not in the right state of mind, you're not going to be doing a good job, and you're not doing anyone a favor. And that's so important. And I think that's why it's so important, right, to get exposure. You see, if you're not good in math, you go to a math class. If you're not good in art, you can go to an art class. But you're not good in parenting, there is not the normal idea of like going to a parenting class. Like in the States, yes, people understand that the community is so important, the people you work with is so important. But in Asia, it's a slightly different mentality. It's like whatever matters at home, whether it's their own relationship with their spouse or with their children, it's supposed to be kept within the confines of their homes. And because of that culture, that mindset, they rarely go out and source for help or even ask for help from people like yourself. And it becomes a limitation. And I, being an Asian myself, I'm going to be saying something very, very important. It's like, take away that ego, take away that idea, and always think about like, how can you take care of yourself? Because if you can take care of yourself, you can take care of your family. And I'm a big advocate of like continuously learning and exposing. And this is the reality. When your child is born, it doesn't come in a manual. And because it doesn't come in a manual, there is no one way to work with your kids. Especially if you have a few kids. Not everyone is exactly the same. It's like, yeah, oh, my elder one was like this when he was 3 years old. Why is this not doing it? And that false expectation, it doesn't do you justice. So it's very important to, rather than just work as a parent based on your idea, and more of listening, being able to really listen to the need and the wants of the child and work with them on that. It's like, tell me more script, tell me more words. It's so powerful because you cannot read people's mind, especially your child's. So it's so powerful to get them to communicate. And when you keep asking your child in a very sincere way and allowing them to start sharing, like you mentioned, it develops this ability for them to learn to take the awareness of what is happening to them and put it into words, and to be able to trust someone to share it with. And I think all this is what builds the foundation of someone that can trust themselves, trust people, be able to articulate what they feel, and be able to manage the emotions and how they work in life. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. But I will say this too, during these times, parents are doing the best they can in the moment, and the best looks different every day. And I really say this from a very full-hearted place. Parents in the States, parents all around the world, what's happening with their intimate families inside the four walls of their home, nobody knows what goes on in there. And every parent has an impulse to try to keep it confined. And every parent has a need to put on the oxygen mask for their inner child before putting the oxygen mask on their child. Yeah. Because they may be feeling pressures from the children's grandparents, their own parents. They are in a place in life between, their own parents and parenting their own children. And they can at times feel overwhelmed and not resourceful because they don't get that moment where they can take a breath and choose how they're going to respond and simply react. So let's have some compassion. And really, if there's anything that I could give parents out there in Malaysia as a gift, I would ask, it's really tough. This is a challenge for me as a parent even, is to have some compassion for yourself, to forgive yourself for what's taken place, all the past right up until this present moment, because your point of most power and having an influence on your children is right now. So allow yourself to kind of just surrender to this is the way it is right now. And each of your children are unique. One child might need a ton of structure in their days, or they spin out. Another child might need every day to kind of create a structure for how they're going to spend their day. They might be a more artistic type, and they might be a more heart-centered type, and they kind of are a fluid, and the day just kind of flows. Whereas you might have a child who loves having, the week completely scheduled and booked, and so that all their future plans, they know what's ahead. They don't have to guess at what's going to happen next. That's really reassuring and calms and soothes them, and they can feel seen by their parent. Whereas the other child feels calm and seen and soothed by being able to have a more spontaneous emerging schedule every day. Right? So there's a lot going on within every family home, and parents just have to feel like right now, put on your white lab coats. We're all becoming researchers and scientists and discovering who is this child of mine, and how do they need to be communicated with such that they find it more irresistible to be more cooperative and responsible. How do I find a way in myself as a parent to not default into, coercion or manipulation or bribing? Now, a certain amount of coercion and manipulation and bribing because of our unusual circumstances, I have been giving parents a hall pass, a freebie. If your teenager is on the screen for hours at a time, the screen is the safest place for he or she to be right now. So allow for a little more screen time. If they're staying up later and using their digital and electronic devices to connect with their friends, peers for teens are everything, and it really helps them get grounded and feel a little more resilient to, roll into the next day. So if they're spending more screen time and their bedtime was like usually the curfew's 10:30 and they're up till, midnight, don't lose sleep over it. Every human being is adjusting and discovering what is the routine that is going to support me day after day, and it all requires tweaking. This is why I'm really encouraging parents every day to have a short family meeting at the end of the day. And what the meeting is about is what didn't work today. And tomorrow, who's got an idea for how it might go better? Any suggestions? And please, parents, I encourage you to let the kids speak first. They will feel like they have a voice at the table. Let them lead, encourage them. Because whatever comes out of this little family meeting, you really don't want to come up with tackling a whole list of problems. You just want to find one thing from that day that didn't work that is simple and that you as parents already know you might be able to say yes to or resolve, because what's really important is that everybody experiences that they have a win in that family meeting.
I think that's something that's very powerful, and I'm a big believer of that. A lot of mummies and daddies will be worried about one thing: the very first meeting. And on the very first meeting, because they are afraid that suddenly the child's going to ask for something rebelliously difficult for them, and they predict that they might end up, rather than resolving it together as a family and having win-wins all around, they will end up being like, no, this is my idea. How would you say, how would you guide them on that very first meeting? Because chances are the child will be very excited to share something crazy, and the parents will be quite shocked, and it's like, how do I manage this? How would you go for that?
I love that you asked. Do you know that family meetings, the way that everybody first thinks of them, when those two words pop into our heads, everybody dreads them. Parents and kids alike. Oh no. Parents for exactly what you said. Kids because they think they're going to have to suffer and endure them and get through the meeting. And they're just going to be told what they have to do.
Yeah, correct.
Right? They're not going to have any experience of really being listened to respectfully or feel like it's safe to communicate assertively. So here's the deal. In this first family meeting, that's why it's so important. to pick something that is like falling off the log easy, where parents don't feel threatened and like they're going to lose control, where kids aren't already feeling resigned and like they'll never say yes to that. So pick something easy. Pick something that might be a when factor, like some homework before dinner, some homework afterward, instead of homework all at once in one long session. It's an example of something that, as a parent, I would jump on that and say, let's work on that. Because it's so important to have a win initially. And here's what everyone gets invited to do when you sit down, and let's go with that example. Everybody is heard from. Well, what do you need? And let's say this child, this rambunctious 12-year-old boy needs, I can't do it. He might be saying, I can't do homework. I just can't do my homework. Well, this is where being curious comes into play. Well, why do you feel you can't? Is it that you really don't know what the homework instructions are? No, I know what that is. I just can't. I'm just too I need a break. I need a break. So that you won't do it now. What if we broke it apart? Do you see the flavor? Do you have the feel of how this can go? And everybody gets to have suggestions. When your children will test you when you first start to hold a family meeting at the end of the day. So they're going to say all the outrageous and ridiculous things that they can imagine. Well, here's what I would like. I'd like to have no homework. Why do homework? We're not going to be in school for the rest of the year. Let's just forget about homework altogether, right? You listen to that with respect as a parent, and you say, well, I got that that's what you would love in an ideal world, but that's not a possibility. What we're looking for right now is, do you have any suggestions for how we can make what is for you now a chore, doing your homework? What ideas do you have to make it more appealing, or having you feel like you're more able to follow through and complete it? Right? You get the flavor of that. And everybody gets to make all kinds of suggestions right now, and especially the kids, again, with ridiculous suggestions, but keep steering it back to what really is at stake here and what's needed and wanted for, tomorrow. There is some urgency in being able to keep a minimum level of upsets and breakdowns and problems and challenges from emerging every day, so they don't overwhelm, the whole family, right?
That is so true.
So you've got to stay with it, and everybody gets to continue to make suggestions, and then you the opportunity as parents is to be listening for, where's the win-win? Where's I can say yes to that, and your child is truly having experience, I can say yes to that. You go back and forth until you can find that place where you can both say yes. And then immediately write down the agreement and have them say, okay, now what did you hear is the agreement? Have them say it back to you. And if we're talking about a 12-year-old, then they can probably tell you what your part of the agreement is too. What you've agreed to.
For sure.
Right? Yes. And it's important to give them the opportunity to speak. And that allows you to presence for everyone the certainty that there's going to be some mutual benefit, because our children will relax and they will be able to be much more responsible and cooperative if they have a sense, a feeling that whatever the issue is, it's getting worked on, it's getting resolved, it's getting solved. If not immediately, at least it's being worked on, will be resolved soon. When they get that experience, they will show up and own that agreement
Correct.
They'll make it theirs. They'll be much more on for actually making it happen.
You're right. Because when the child and parents agree, like both of them, like they are the ones that set it for themselves and they make the agreement. It makes it work. That's why when I work with students, one of the things is I ask them, like, how would you like to plan this? It's like, for me, when I plan, I'm the type of person that I need to have fun first, and then I would like to play. Or are you the type of person that you must finish your work first, then you feel better playing? Then once they got that sorted, it's like once that first question is answered, the next one is, okay, how can we plan it to suit you? And how can I support you with this plan? And then they start doing it. And the funny thing is, if I were to plan it for them, they will never follow. But because they are the ones that put it in, they have a higher tendency of actually following through. And even if they did miss it, they will be the one that's feeling responsible to be like, oh, okay, it's my bad. I did not pay attention to this. I'm gonna fix this. They will actually want to step up to do better as well. And that's so powerful because you gave a perfect example, because so many parents out there, when friends or families share with them, hey, you know what, you could get knowledge, you can get resources and all that, and the number one answer that they give to be resistant, it's like,
sorry, that's idea. My phone going off. Let me turn that off.
I thought I gave a good point, that's why I got points for it. It's like, good point, man.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Thank you. See, you're very sharp with being mindful and all this. I love that. Now, coming back to the point, I was saying that things that hold parents back sometimes is there's this thing in the media that shows like being effective with your kids is to be positive, and they blew it way overboard to the point is like positive means whatever your child says yes is a yes. There is no no is a bad word. It's like whatever your child says it's a go. And people misunderstood the listening and actually processing that to the point of just accepting whatever the child says. Now, I love what you just mentioned, because what you just demonstrated and shared with us is the reality that we need to listen because we're interested to understand, and then to help guide the young person to be able to process it, to utilize it in real life. And in other words, a young soul, a young child may have the intellectual part, but not the maturity part yet. And it takes a role model. It takes someone that they need to not just understand, but being able to live with, to process it, a life part. And an adult is not just about giving you the food, giving you the house over your head, but also being able to be to show you the steps to take in real life. And the ability to listen, really fully listen, and then go through it back and forth, going in the direction of actually getting an end result that makes you feel happy and makes me feel happy, and together we can actually get somewhere productive. And I think that journey, all those little journeys that you do right now, really shapes the difference between a potentially successful individual in the future and not so successful person in the future. And I'm very happy that you get to actually share that, because so many times people misunderstand listening to just accepting everything.
Oh yeah. No, it takes patience and perseverance, but over time, in a couple of months, if you start to work with your children in family meetings to create successful workable agreements, and by workable agreements, they have to be agreeable.
Yes.
For parents and kids alike. And it's not, and they have to be practical. This is not some idealistic, great idea that never gets acted upon. Because who as a parent hasn't had the idea that they've come up with an agreement with their kids that was really masquerading as the kids just gave in and are going along with it? And how long did that agreement last? How successful is that agreement? It blew up almost before it got written down. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you can practice really the art and the science of creating successful workable agreements, what happens over time is your kids realize that you're not going to be a top-down autocrat, but you're also not going to be, hands-off, permissive yielder. Just say yes to everything. Your kids will discover that you are being a parent who is showing up for them in terms of giving them the life skills that are needed, especially our future life skills. We have no idea what the future holds for our children in terms of the nature, the ever-changing nature of the world.
Correct.
Of migrations, of jobs, and the changing nature of careers,
lifestyles and everything,
and climate change. So our children, you are gifting them by enabling them and empowering them to be ever more resilient and flexible, great listeners, and terrific communicators, and the leaders for our future, for our tomorrows.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so important because a lot of mummies and daddies, they really look forward to the future. And at the same time, for the child's perspective, the future is too far away. Their main focus is now. And so that's why that mismatch sometimes makes things difficult. But you know what? It's okay, because that's why you get to communicate with them. You get to share with them. A lot of parents, they feel like they need to lecture their children. Sometimes it's not necessary. The child would really love to know what you are thinking as well. So being able to share with them really your deep thoughts is like, hey, the girl, I would love to actually spend this time with you. And the reason why is because I see that, you're so creative. I can only imagine that you use this creativity and, help the world. Wouldn't you like to help the world too? And explore. And it's like, at the same time, that's, I think, where the barrier is from the level of, would they start giving the child a chance to explore, or are they going to be dictated to follow what mommy and daddy wants?
Right.
Because I think that's the gray line where a lot of parents are afraid of, because they would love to share with their child, but they are also afraid of, like, will they be dictating what the child should be doing, or are they really giving the child the empowerment to really explore?
Yes.
How would you guide them from that?
You will know from how your child will respond to you. Our children are perfect responders to us. And they are great BS detectors of us. They know us better sometimes than we know ourselves. We don't like it, but it is the truth. And so they are tracking all the time. Are we walking our talk? Are we doing what we say we're doing? So it behooves us to continue to return to the stance of curiosity with ourselves even, and our inner child, and have insights about, is this about me or is this about my child? So that you're once again creating that mutually respectful atmosphere in which everyone's needs and sometimes wants are being considered and shared about. You're modeling sharing about those needs and wants and communicating in a way that creates an environment that leads to coming up with agreements where there's the experience of things being mutually beneficial. And you will know that you as a parent are not, that you're genuinely empowering your child and you're not laying something on them.
That is so
and this takes patience and persistence. It's persistence. It's an investment up front.
Yep.
But as I said earlier, the dividends, the payoff is extraordinary. And sometimes I hear parents say, I don't have time to be mindful. I don't have time to be curious. I don't have time to have these conversations.
Yep.
And I just want to say that I challenge parents. I challenge them about that. Because think about the amount of time you spend handling breakdowns and upsets and challenges and trying to solve problems without a structure, without a way of communicating with one another. Think about the hours of your lives you've all invested and not gotten the results you've desired.
And how it made you feel too.
And of course, the bad feelings, getting in the grip of those negatively charged feelings, being hijacked by that, and maybe a an unpleasant mood settling around the house, the atmosphere for days. Think about the cost of all that. It is worth taking some time up front.
That is so powerful. This reminds me of a particular story that I have worked with a family. And what happened is, on my side, I run courses where I teach kids how to cheat in exams. But I teach them not how to copy the answers, but how they understand information that they study. And at the same time, I also run small pockets of classes and courses for mummies and daddies as well. Because I'm a big believer that mummies and daddies are the children's best teacher. And how they manage them at home dictates everything. Because in Harvard, they've done studies that it's not about how wealthy you are or how much time you spend on your kids. It's how you use it with good quality. How do you actually work together? And when a family works together and overcome obstacles together, that is the winning formula. And what happened is, most of the time at the end of the program, the children is motivated to they want to ace their exams, no matter how bad it was before. They want to get it done and sorted, and they are excited to see me after the program. Not so much their parents. And when I follow up with them, it's like they're like, yeah, I want to do it. Okay, come on, coach, let's do this. Okay, I got my homework done. They're like, okay, great. But my goal is not for you to keep seeing me every day. I would rather you work with your family, because that's the objective. The reason why I made all this is so that they had this bonding session to work over something. And when I chat with the parents, and I hear something quite interesting, because when I ask the parents, like, hey, are you having the chance to kind of like work with your kids? Oh, no, I'm too busy. Oh, no, there's no time. Oh, they're already asleep when I got back, blah, 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 blah. And which I understand. And then when I ask the child, it's like, the one thing is like, hey, do you have the chance to work your parents? It's like, maybe you can look at a timetable that suits you and mommy and daddy. And their number one answer is, mommy don't have time. Daddy don't have time. Then I ask them these questions like, do you think they can make time? Maybe they don't realize the time that they can fit in. Maybe when they stop playing their phones, or when they stop being, or when they stop chatting with someone. So in other words, it's like you mentioned, children are great BS detectors. They can see how you walk your talk. It's like, you say you want me to do well, but are you playing your part? And they can sense that. And to the point that because if parents say one thing but don't do it, the trust that the child has is like, you don't take this seriously. And a lot of times when I talk to parents, exactly like what you mentioned, your choice. Do you want to work now, where everything's neutral? Or do you want to wait till the time where things are falling off, things are very messy, and you start using a lot of angry energy to scold your child and blame here and do this and do that? You're going to use the time anyways. You're going to be working anyways. The question is, which level do you want? And I was actually talking to one of the parents, because I showed the parents, like, look at your child's work. Look at, you always said that they never do their homework. They did it themselves. No one prompted them. All they did is they made it happen. And that was awesome. And then after that, I asked the parents, like, what is the reason that you're avoiding this? Because I can feel that you want to help your child. I can sense that you want to do whatever it takes. That's why you're paying me to do it with you. The question is like, what is stopping you from being that mommy and daddy that you always wanted? And 9 out of 10 is they are scared that they will mess it up. They're afraid that, they might not say the right things, they might do the right things, they might lose their temper, and, anything that's good becomes bad. And like you mentioned, there is nothing that's perfect here, and we're always adapting. And I shared that with them, and I gave them the materials like, hey, just do me one thing. They are doing this. Whenever you see that they're doing something that's awesome, just say it to them, just share it with them. Let them know how you feel. And when they ask you a question, try to listen first. Try and process it. If you don't understand, keep asking them, say, what do you mean? What do you mean? Could you share with me more? It's like, give yourself a little sense of curiosity. Become a child with them. And to the point, it's like, maybe share some wisdom when you fully understand. And when you see them, when the child's eyes light up with joy, give them a high five and, support them. Do whatever you can. And just spend 30 minutes. 30 minutes is all I ask. And the mom and dad experimented. 2 weeks later, they actually call and say, Coach, you know what? I think I can run the classes already. You don't need to come over anymore. I can settle it. And to me, I was so happy, because one of my biggest joy is to have families not need us anymore. Because when mummies and daddies do not need to depend on anyone else to help with their family and help with their kids, I feel that's the biggest joy, because that means they're able to kind of like utilize the knowledge that they have to get the results that they want, and to really be more powerful mummies and daddies. Because one of my biggest belief is mummies and daddies are like the key to their child's success. How well they work with the kids, how well they show maturity is going to be a role model that will shape their child as well. And like you mentioned, the patience that come with it, it's not easy, but it's well worth the dividends in the future. That's why I would like to ask you for a very important tip. What would you say to the mummies and daddies out there that, especially during this lockdown period, what would be your secret tip or your secret strategy to help mummies and daddies calm down, to not lose their head and murder everyone at home, so that, because I believe when they're in a good place, when they're in a good state of mind, they can pursue and make amazing things happen. So would you mind sharing your secret strategy of how you get yourself calm and so loving and caring that you're able to really share that love with the family?
I'd love to. I had a wonderful friend, Dr. Ivan Meisner, said to me once that, we're all striving to try to achieve this thing called balance. And do you, Chinese acrobats, when they're spinning all those plates on those long, tall sticks, and the plates are wobbling and they're about to crash, yes, and they're rushing back and forth from stick to stick, trying to keep all these plates spinning perfectly at once.
Yeah.
That is the image that always occurs to me when we are striving to get some kind of balance. The truth is that every day we all rock different areas of our life in different ways, or we slip up and we, mess up. Like, I was a great wife this week. I really rocked it in my relationship with my husband. We had some great conversations. The communication was stellar, and I got this wonderful result. With my kids this week, not so great. It was kind of shaky, right? So the true secret to creating some more inner peace and calm and feeling like you can draw on that very strong place in you is to seek harmony, not balance. And what I mean by harmony is real simple. It's be where you are. Be here now. If you are saying that you are going to play with your kids, they're asking you to spend some time playing with them. If you be fully present and you're not thinking about work, you're not doing what I call time traveling. You're not thinking about, I've got to get that report in, so tonight that means this, this, and this, while you are supposedly playing with your kids will feel that you have checked out and you have just time traveled. So instead of always spending time feeling like a divided self, allow yourself to surrender to, I'm going to play for 15 minutes here and now with my kids. I'm going to fill up their buckets of a need for attention. Nothing else is going to grab me. And when you're working and you are doing a report, set your kids up to know, I've got a deadline tomorrow. This report has got to be in, and I've got to work on it now. Can everybody get behind me and support me in getting this done so that I am freed up tomorrow to be able to play again like we did perhaps. Maybe there's a time in the parent's day that really works. I know some very busy, successful parents who had huge jobs that tended to get their children up a half an hour earlier in the morning so they could have playtime.
Oh, wow.
And they, talked about different kinds of breakfast foods, and they did one month they did all these different breakfast foods from around the world. Now, they had help, somebody that could help them do this setup, but that became a place for them to bond, and it
Mm.
laid down incredible tracks. There was a longitudinal, long-term study done that having family dinners
Mm-hmm.
actually raised, I think it like raised kids' IQ points by
Oh.
30 points. So these breakfast playtimes that they had, where they were breaking literally bread together and sharing and practicing the art of conversation,
Mm.
were profound. So
Wow.
I'm looping back around to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it is not about balance. Trying to achieve that elusive balance in our
Mm.
lives as parents. It is about finding harmony as parents and
Mm.
being where we are at.
Mm.
Here I am now with my family at dinner. I'm going to be here now.
Mm. That's a very powerful message, I would say, because so many times people are finding the magical elixir, the magic wand, the magic strategy, and the, it's not a very profound thing. It's a very deep thing, which is being present, having that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and really be there for them, with them, makes all the difference. It's more of the quality than just the quantity, and that's really powerful. So in other words, especially during the lockdown period, a good maybe a good practice can be of the whole 24 hours that you have within the day. Definitely, you need your own time. You need time for work. They need time for their own studies, so on and so forth. Pick a particular set of time that you can be present for them. It's a committed time that you allow yourself to be fully present with them and to allow your child to be present with you. And even that dinner period, it's such a magical thing. A lot of people take the dinner period to be for granted, take it for granted to the point that it lost its magic, where it's an opportunity to really be there, to really communicate, to really share, literally almost like a family meeting while we break bread. It's a great opportunity because rather than taking the chance, because a lot of times, like when people are rushing, they, like you mentioned, juggling here and there, the objective is to get it done. It's not about the quality. It's just about getting it ticked off the to-do list. But when you say you're being present, it's not about the time. It's about the joy of doing it. And that's really powerful. Because I think if you love doing something at that moment of time, that really burns into your memory, into your psyche. And it doesn't just affect you as mommy and daddy, it also affects the child as well. And so many of times when we do counseling, a lot of children, they have deep memories of either very positive things or very negative things. So these kind
Yes.
of moments will definitely develop more positive things in their memory, in their life. And the more of these memories, the more they will shape themselves of what they want to focus on as well. That's really powerful. Wow,
And
Jill. That is
it's
so
worth
good.
remembering. Oh, I don't want to cut you off.
No, no, no.
Let's actually give that the space and time it deserves.
Mm,
So it is about balance.
mm,
If you make it about that, then you're constantly time traveling in life. You're divided. Your whole self is not anywhere in one place, moment in time.
mm.
And it's elusive. You will never find, it's an illusion to be reaching for that perfect balance.
Yep.
But harmony is achievable
Mm, mm.
by
That is
any
true.
one of us. There's nothing in particular you have to do, but it's definitely available to you. It's in
Mm,
the background of our lives, and we can reach for that.
mm,
Family meetings, I just have to put in a word for family meetings. Family meetings, are not that dreaded meeting. It's not always about correction or problem solving or meeting challenges.
mm-hmm.
I've seen parents have family meetings at dinner time where they're having a family meeting about, wow, what are we going to do for your birthday
Mm,
during this time
yep.
with the coronavirus?
Mm,
What is it that given? What do you need? What do you want? You can have a whole family meeting about how we're going to do dinner, or our vacation had to be canceled.
mm,
What can
mm,
we do in place of the vacation, to take the sting out of not being able to do the vacation. Because believe you me, our children right now are grieving the loss of the structure that served them. They're grieving the loss of privileges and freedoms. And they're also grieving the loss of certainty. So they have a lot of feelings that they, some of them are going to be more in touch with, and others less.
Yes.
So they have a lot of feelings that are stirred up right now.
Correct.
So it really help them feel more secure and have a sense of safety if they can have some say-so over what is controllable in their immediate lives. Well, family, I mean, not for just the children, but for us parents too.
So true.
The power that we have is we still have say-so about how we're going to choose to respond to the circumstances. We may not have control over the circumstances, but we get to have a say-so about how we're going to choose to respond, and we can model that for our children.
Yes, that's the magic formula there, because how you respond is everything. The event, the situation, no one can control that, but you have full power of how you choose to respond to it. That's so powerful. And I think right now, as parents are listening to what we are sharing today, I believe there will be a few action steps that they can definitely start taking. Number one is to be able to be really present, to really be interested on listening to their child, and using these 3 important words. Tell me more.
What are the 3 magic words?
So powerful. It's like a lot of people, they think I love you, but tell me more. The I love you is like, I'm just telling you, but it doesn't necessarily mean it that way. But if you say tell me more, you're really showing that you're open to listen to them, and that's powerful. And something that's very important is like, how do we make the pockets of time be more valuable, to be more present, to be more there? And I think one of the most powerful ones there is the reality of having that family meeting. The family meeting is not just about just meeting down and seeing what's going to happen. It's having the chance to be present and to have opportunities for everyone to have a win-win in any situation. That is really powerful. I think that is super good, especially now when they're facing each other for so much. And like you mentioned, everyone has a little sense of grief because they are losing certain things that they are not accustomed to, and it's a readjustment. It's being modifying their life to suit what's happening right now. And a lot of people don't like uncertainty. The only type of uncertainty people want is when they're uncertain that there is going to be a present and they want to be surprised.
Human beings, we have very little tolerance usually for uncertainty.
That's so true.
We're not happy in that place.
So with that, if I could, I would love to keep you in for hours and hours, because there's so much knowledge that I want to share with you, get you to share with the people around. But this thing, it's quite late where you are at, and I want you to actually have time. So before we leave today's conversation, would you have maybe 1 or 2 words of wisdom that you like to part off before saying goodbye to the audience?
Absolutely. And I should let you know also that we are going to be, I'm so committed to parents being successful with workable agreements, successful workable agreements, and having family meetings, that I am going to be having a live Ask Me Anything about family meetings and workable agreements events on Zoom. We have an exceptional parenting Facebook page, and the link to the Zoom call, and I may do several depending upon how much appetite parents have for this.
Perfect.
But the link to the Zoom call will be posted on our exceptional parenting Facebook page. So that is a resource for parents. I am just committed during this time for parents not being abandoned.
Oh, thank you so much, Jill. What we'll do is we'll play our part. We'll put the links in the video as well, in the podcast as well, so they can just click and straight away head over to your direction and actually be able to see how they can actually get in contact with you for the Zoom call, and also the resources that is already provided, because you're so nice to be able to prepare it for them. I think I can do a little bit more by just getting them to send them your way.
Oh, terrific. And on the Exceptional Parenting Facebook page, we'll also be having posts that are kind of related to family meetings and workable agreements. So that will be additional resources for them.
Great.
So they can go there, like the page, share it, because we would like to help as many parents as we can, right? I
agree. That's a big thing. And you know what? For all of you guys watching, I know it's been a lot of things that we've been sharing today. It's so exciting. Yeah. I'm very excited. And the thing is, if you like what you've been seeing today, remember to like and share it to as many mummies and daddies out there, because if it helped you, it'll definitely be able to help them as well. Because parenting is not an easy task. It's not an easy job. And if this set of knowledge can help reduce the stress and improve the situation, it will only be good to share with them. And at the same time, if you have any questions and you want to communicate directly with Jill or with the team, I will actually put a link at the link below that will give you access directly to their webpage as well as their Facebook page. Like Jill mentioned, the Zoom links are over there. The resources are over there. I've seen some of the amazing quotes. It's funny and also very helpful. And I love those things. And I'm going to put it down in the link below. Now, if you have not already subscribed, remember to subscribe to the channel. So every time we have new videos just like this one, you'll be definitely updated, and you can actually watch it when you're ready. At the same time, I would love to get the chance to interview Jill another time for another round. Jill, would you be up for that?
Oh, Webster, that's music to my ears. I so appreciate this opportunity and what you are providing for parents in terms of resources. And I would love to have do an interview series with you to really break this down so that parents can feel supported.
Yes.
In these practices because of the times we live in. And there's an opportunity like never before by simply literally having more time with our children to put some of these great structured family systems in place. So yeah, I'd love to.
I love to, because I think what you share is really powerful, because you really come from a perspective it's not just ideas, but actually usable ideas, usable strategies that people can just straight away take and utilize. And the benefits of practicing what you're sharing, way awesome. I love it. And you know what, if you guys have any suggestions of the topics that you guys would like us to explore, any things that you are concerned about that maybe me or Jill can share or help you, just put it down in the comment section below. We'll go through them, and maybe that will be the topic that we'll focus on for the next video. What do you think, Jill?
I think that I love that. I love to find out what are parents' current challenges right now. I'm totally behind that, Webster, because we want to hear from you, really. It's a heartfelt request so that we can do the best possible job, right?
Correct.
Of serving you parents in your current situations.
And for that, I want to say thank you, Jill. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. And you know what? I look forward to an amazing round, another amazing week. And Jill, thank you so much for being with us today, all the way in the United States. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your wisdom and such amazing positive energy this particular day. I look forward to the next round. And for the mummies and daddies out there, make sure you take care of yourself, all right? Because when you're taking care of, your family will be taken care of as well. So looking forward to see you guys in the future. Take care, stay awesome, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.